People whose attention is always focused on other people's weaknesses tend to expose their own weaknesses pretty easily.
You know, Thoma, I don't really appreciate the call out there on the video I'm about to make here. Hey, everybody, welcome back to the First Impression series. And we have Thoma here, who, while he may have made a good first impression on you in Inazuma, he doesn't make a good first impression in the card game. I'm very sorry, buddy. He's definitely a really cool character, in my opinion. But over here in the TCG, he's not doing too hot. But that doesn't matter, regardless of the character's rating. We are going to be covering them, you know, in this first impressions video. And if you're new to here, what we do is that we just cover the entirety of their kit, how to use them, and any of the deck building tricks, tips, etc. So without further ado, let's get right into it and let's start talking about Thoma with the Staff of Homa. Just kidding, that's not on the TCG yet. I wish it was. Staff of Homa would be super cool. But anyways, dive right into a little bit of a meme deck, kind of to showcase just the base of his abilities before we get on to a proper deck. Because I typically don't only show meme, like, you know, I really don't show, I try not to show like mostly meme decks here, but you know, sometimes if you got nothing to work with, that's how it'll be. But this is cute. It is the Yashiro commission from at Lazy Minimum slash Juju or Liel as well. Both of them posted the same deck list. To a similar degree. I just did a few optimizations, but let's get started right away with Thoma. He is a Pyro Polearm from Inazuma, so that is another character for the Inazuma res, which we'll talk about a little more later. But moving on out of it, Polearm, you know, regular attack doesn't really do anything, you know, as expected. Now the core of Thoma's kit really is the burst, but this is also a slightly essential. It is the Blazing Blessing. Thoma deals 2 pyro damage and creates 1 blazing barrier. Blazing barrier grants 1 shield point to your active character and can stack up to maximum of 3 times. So you can see here, this is the second time I casted blazing barrier, and now I have 2. So thankfully you can stack it, thank goodness. You know, unlike other shield statuses like Noelle, which cannot be stacked by casting her skill twice, so that's definitely a blessing, as the name entails. But otherwise, Thoma's other ability, which is the burst, and kind of the whole reason why people are going to play him and why I was very personally excited for him, is because it is going to give you a coordinated damage in the form of Crimson Oyori. And we can see him, let me do it right there. Boom, does 2 damage right on the strike, and we jump right into here and creates 1 blazing barrier and 1 scorching Oyori. So I have 1 right there, and we have the scorching Oyori status right here. So scorching Oyori, when you use it, after your character uses a normal attack, and keep this in mind because it's going to be very important discussion later, deal 1 pyro damage and create 1 blazing barrier. So basically, if I wanted to Ayaka right now, I would do a normal attack, she would do a cryo, and then I would do a pyro follow-up, and then I would create the shield point, and we can talk about a little more. And that is kind of the entirety of Thoma's kit. Now, typically, I have a visual for the talent card, but I don't need to because, oh man, did they not give him any chance to breathe, because talent card goes on burst, uses Crimson Oyori. I will get the name as soon as we check the next round, because I actually use it there. But it literally gives him 1 more stack of Scorching Oyori, and that's it. That's it. That's crazy. I'm like, dude, that's not real. Because you can already see here, I got a little stuck on Thoma, mostly for the fact that Mirror Maid is using talent, you know, kind of base is a little bit of control deck. But I already used up all my Oyori stacks, and they're just gone. And this is where I'm gonna try not to be too negative, you know, about Thoma, but he is kind of cooked on arrival. The fact that you know, Oyori only triggers on the normal attacks, and the fact that you only starts at 2 usages, so you're not playing talent card, and oh, let me tell you, talent card seems like a little bit of, you know, a little bit of an expensive you know, thing to be running. You know, I'm not really sure how I feel about that. Now, of course, Thoma's main synergy is going to be in normal attack focused decks. That's why even something, you know, a little silly like this, and also very cute, you know, is going to work with Ayaka and Ayato, because they're both very normal attack focused characters. That's kind of the whole premise of their kit. Ayaka even more so. But yes, as we move on here, we're gonna jump into Ayaka, and now she's gonna trigger that. And yeah, they noticed they ran out of dice, and they're like, oh no, I'm going to get cooked. And as much as I have been bashing on Thoma's head, so this is still going to do a good amount of damage. First, I break the Lotus with my normal attack, and then I drop in with the Oyori. Very nice. And I have a few extra cards in hand to do a little bit of a magic trick. There we go, double reduction from the DOA. Boom, 3 damage, and then we drop a big one there. Nice, nice. And we got 1 more card to play. So let's go ahead and take it back. And voila, I have more dice. And you are cooked, Sayu. How unfortunate. Which is kind of the core of their game plan, which is very unfortunate. But anyway, yeah. And now I'm out of Crimson Oyori stacks. There it is again. But yes, Thoma is going to be useful in mostly normal focus decks. Outside of these two, I would say characters that I can definitely point out and people have been trying are Sino, Alhytham, characters like that. And regardless, even if you aren't necessarily a character who takes advantage of normal attacks, even someone like Senora, who has a Catalyst property, as well as Mirror Maiden, who has a Hydro damage property. It has stuff like that. It can still work regardless, as long as your normal attack does elemental damage. And that's it. I don't know what else to tell you guys, because it was already last patch where I was trying to get Alhytham to work with things and with normal attacks, because he's all normal attack focused. But man, even this is just oof. I will take a quick pause here to go ahead and talk about Sapwood Blade, because Sapwood Blade is definitely something I want to cover, and this is mostly going to be fillers for how you can kind of build your decks with some action cards. But Sapwood Blade, this character will always deal +1 damage. That's just how all weapons work. And when entering the play, when the character uses this, which is attack to next uses a normal attack during this round, create 2 elemental dice of this character's elemental type. So it's kind of a little bit of a miniature light of focal decision, or lo-fi. Now lo-fi, as much as it does better, costs 3 aligned dice, and that is very expensive. You're really not going to be able to get that out unless you have something like Wagner. But with this one only costing 3 black dice, you can just play it whenever, and especially if you make sure to ramp with Lyman, that's plenty, and you get an instant refund. Is it effectively a 1 cost? And the fact that it also gives you 2 of the same element, that is pretty huge. I'm actually going to showcase it right now with a combo with the Unseen Razor, and let's just let it rip. There we go. Do a big hit, and I'll slow it down just to make sure we see it in its full glory. This is part of the patch, so that's super cool. I know it's the Thoma video, but unfortunately he's not cooking too hot. There we go. Boom. I maximize my statuses, because that's what happens when you play a deck like this. Boom, and GG's. I am a little surprised about how well the Yashiro Commission actually does, or the Kamisato Clan, because I thought it was a little bit of a joke deck. I'm like, there's no way this works. Like, combo doesn't feel great in this meta. All things considered, but it actually is okay. But we'll be moving on to the other deck here. It's just a quick preview. Yashiro Commission, wow, super cool. And there we go, awesome. Sapwood Blade and all those shenanigans. But let's slide over to National Coded. Here's National Coded, and this is the one deck I have a lot more faith in, because Chongyun, who hasn't seen much, ever since the nerf to Shenhe in Shenhe SC to kind of get it off the table, which is still okay, by the way. Chongyun has a lot of abilities that he can give to their friends over here with steady breathing. So let's go ahead and jump into the match with National Coded. And the reason I call it National Coded is because if you play the name game, it is pretty similar to national teams and how they function. So I'm pretty sure I want this one over here. Yep. Let's go ahead and jump right in to versus Kaidahara, and a little bit of free shenanigans, which is definitely not, something I would like to hear in an OTK deck, but we make it work. And yes, here it is. The talent, and I'll just read the name for it, is a subordinate skills. Man, that's all it is. +1 usage. Great job, buddy. I will say, I think it's definitely fine. And I wouldn't push the shield points any further than they have to be at 1 shield, because especially because it can stack, even your other characters can trigger that. So if I normal attack twice, of course I don't think anyone would let you live, but I could get 2 shields theoretically, or 3 if I'm playing talent. But regardless, I think what Thoma is probably missing is either getting more shield points, or maybe doing a little more damage, because if he's going to be stuck at 2, always at 2 Crimson Oyoris, make it 2 damage at least, man. Because I know Yoimiya, she has her niche, she has a reason to exist, and she's been through so much, as a character, which is funny because of the only pyro characters from Inazuma. It's funny how this works out, but I feel like Thoma, it would not hurt for Thoma to have 2 damage if he only has 2 usages, because Yoimiya is bounced out by the fact that she's 3 energy. Moving back to the deck list here, though, it's completely just OTK based. I'm going to use Ride and Burst, to charge up both of these guys. And, you already know what Thoma's talent does. Now, if you don't remember what Chonyun's talent does, Steady Breathing, you'll use the skill once, and then when you do this, Polar, all your melee type characters will have the normal attacks deal +1 damage. And that is kind of a lot, all things considered, because I'm already getting a lot of damage bonuses from over here with burst. So now instead of doing 2, I do 3, which is pretty huge. And now I have a coordinated pyro. And then once I drop Chonyun and his talent, I will be doing a 3 base normal attack damage with cryo. and, you know, hit whoever's for melt, and then I'll reapply pyro as well. That's a pretty sizable chunk of damage, and that's why I really like this team, you know, overall. Again, I will talk about the list a little later once we get down to it, but you know, this is kind of just what's happening right here, and we'll get on to the dice roll. Otherwise, I don't know. I don't know, man. There is not a lot to say here. I think it's nice that he's a polearm, you know. It does make it so that he does have a chance to use Moon Piercer, which I did not slot in his deck because I didn't really have enough room. But it is definitely something to consider, you know, especially since you will most likely run him with Raiden, because it is kind of the best way to run him, which is very ironic considering the story and everything. But yes, Raiden is probably definitely like his best support because he needs that burst ASAP, and you want to get that value immediately because he loses it so fast. Like unlike Layla, you know, who, you know, gets to drop her thing immediately. She gets 2 shield points immediately. He only gets 1. You know, 2 shield points is enough to actually make sure you survive something properly. 1 shield point is literally made of paper, just like a shield in the main game if you don't stack it, you know, which is very accurate to how the game works. But, you know, it's definitely not gonna feel great. But now we're gonna go ahead and focus on the match. So let's get in Gamblers. I get a fresh win in Freedom, and I skill issue because I didn't play Talon card. Don't be stupid like me. But that is a Superconductor Predator, and then Mona goes down. And now it's time for the burst, which is still as chunky as ever. 8 damage on the board, not even a Raiden boost from that. And now it's just down to Sayu. Oh, she comes out with Wolf's Gravestone and the Paimon and the Lotus. Oh man, that's pretty scary. But remember, I talked about this last time with Lotus Breaker, the idea of Lotus Breaker, where if you have enough of these statuses stacked together, you can instantly break Lotus and it won't matter at all because boom, I give you a big melt. She does follow up there, so that is unfortunate, but no more Lotus for you. And now it is time to cook because Thoma is going to deliver the finishing blow. Chonyun and Crimson Aurora follow-up. You're gone. GG's. Now, yeah, this is definitely one of my shorter guides, because, like, seriously, guys, there's really not much for me to talk about here. Because, man, Thoma, again, I love the guy. I think he's great. But, you know, well. Also, when did I cast Raiden's skill? Oh, you know what? It's triggering Chakra Desiderata. That's cool. That's a fun mechanic. Which you can do, by the way, you know, very realistically with a little bit of shield points. But yes, these are kind of the 2 decks I was able to cook up. And of course, I will be posting them, you know, in just a moment. But this is kind of all Thoma has going for him. And it's really unfortunate that it is the case. I feel like they need to either increase his shielding capabilities, make him a little bit more of a tank, or, you know, instead increase his damage and keep his usages the same because he has so little. It's very funny how, you know, if I had a nickel for every time I had 2 pyro characters from Inazuma, you know, have coordinated attack damage, and they then be like, you know, either super underpowered or nerfed to oblivion, it would be 2, and it's weird that it happened twice. But yes, these are the 2 ones I have, and we're gonna go ahead and slide over. So here's the 2 deck list, and there is the first one with the Usher Commission / Kamisato Clan, as well as the National Coded. And, you know, they're pretty simple deck lists. You know, you can do tons of innovations. You know, you can swap around Jet Engine between these 2. I think specifically this one, since it has a lot, you know, a lot more survival, you know, all these things here, just because the threat of Chonyun is so high. You know, you're not too worried about trying to get 5 million dice because, you know, Gilded as it does, you know, always is enough for you to get the job done. But yeah, that is pretty much all I have to say about these decks. Thank you all so much for watching, and leave a like and subscribe. And I'll see you next time. Goodbye.